Welcome, Spartans, to the September Podcast Evolve Book Club, your favourite book club. Actually, probably the only Halo book club going around at the minute, but...
Yay, we did it first.
That's our claim to fame. We're part of the Rated M Gaming Network, in case you haven't been paying attention so far. I'm your host, Aaron. I have returned after a long absence.
Woo! Welcome back.
Aaron's alive. My goodness.
I am alive.
I was planning the funeral.
Much like Master Chief, rumours of my demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Ooh, topical.
There's a cryptic hint, yes. And with me today, you can hear that sexy voice is David.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, David.
And the shrill one is Krysta.
What do you mean?
Thanks for ruining the sync, Krysta. God damn it.
I can't be nice to you.
What?
Right, so this month we're here for book club as usual, and we're discussing something that's weirdly relevant and topical at the minute, the triad.
What is the triad?
Yes. What is the triad? The triad, Krysta, is a religious cult in the Halo universe.
Halo has a cult? Wow.
Yes. It's a religious cult founded by a man called Das Gavadim.
I think I've
And
heard that name before. Where have I heard that?
Yes. You're very good at this, Krysta.
Why is
I like
Krysta's script so bad, and why is she so bad at it?
The
don't
basic
get it.
gist of the triad, if you aren't too familiar, although you should have read the story in the homework if you're here listening,
Yeah.
is they believe that humanity have three lives and three inner lives, and by uniting them you can transcend. Sounds
Which is basically just
weirdly.
like reaching nirvana.
Yeah, it sounds weirdly like the Great Journey, but not quite.
It's the human version of the Great Journey. But I mean, it's not.
Yes.
It involves less universe killing.
Yes, less Halos. And the triad were first mentioned, conveniently enough for us for book club, in a short story in Halo Evolutions called Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss. It was written by Eric Raab. He is an editor for Tor Books, so he worked on quite a few of the old school Halo books, the Cold Protocol, Contact Harvest. I even think he did the Forerunner trilogy as well, because they were still Tor before they moved.
Yep.
It's out now in physical form and finally as an audiobook, or an ebook, because it took them a while. There were no ebooks for quite some time.
Yeah.
So it was released back in November 24th, 2009. It's a nice little short story. It's only about 26 pages long, so...
Yeah.
Although then again, all the evolution stories are, but there's quite a bit in it.
It gives you a lot of information in a very short amount of time. And delivers a very good story in a short amount of time as well.
Yeah, it's a real eye-opener to the brutes in particular, because you never quite grasp their brutality, as the name suggests, until you read it. Like, there's always hints at it in the other books, but, you know...
It's never really mentioned in the games. They just
No,
look like
in
big
First
monkeys.
Strike, they only really... It's First Strike, isn't it, where they sort of mention them as big tanks,
Yeah.
you know, but they never really go into the side where they're eating people and...
No, and
Generally
they're
being
hunting
quite
them
horrible.
down and shit like that.
Yeah. So, right, we'll go with the synopsis here, just to give you a quick reminder in case you don't already. Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss tells the story of an ONI agent named Connor Breen, who's sent to investigate a brute invasion on Beta Gabriel. Breen eventually gets captured by the brutes while he's watching them from a tree, and he's put in with some of the human survivors the brutes have been keeping. The brutes use the human survivors as basically hunting prey. They release them out, catch them, kill them, and then eat them.
Ugh.
So, whilst he's there in captive, Agent Breen, or Dr. Breen I should say, hatches a plan with someone who will be very important, Das Gavadim, to escape.
I know him.
Yes, and some things happen then after that, so will we get stuck into it? Oh, I suppose for reference, actually, I put the notes here as well. If anyone's trying to place this in the timeline of where it is in Halo, this is just after the fall of Reach. Well, it's just after the invasion of Reach. And they cover it in the start of the book, where this particular group of brutes, their chieftain panicked when he saw the human fleet at Reach and fled, and decided to go to Beta Gabriel instead and basically hide until everyone was dead.
And Beta Great Gabriel was it was thought to be unpopulated, but it was actually like a resort planet for the
Yeah,
really
it's
rich.
kind of like a rich guy's hunting lodge sort of a planet.
A whole planet hunting lodge.
Sort of where the wealthy people go. Where's the equivalent on Earth? Where do the wealthy people go now?
South Africa? Do they go on hunt safaris? They do all
Oh
kind
yeah,
of mad
that's
stuff.
true.
Okay, that sounds about right.
And another thing is there was only like 500 humans on the planets when the brutes arrived.
Yeah, I think 500 brutes, and they said just a handful of them were, or 500 humans, and a handful of them were armed at best.
Yeah.
Those
Well, I
probably
mean, they
like
had
civilian
probably
weapons.
hunting rifles and stuff.
Yeah, I imagine there
Yeah.
wasn't any military presence on the planet.
No, there doesn't seem to be anything. So, I suppose, what do you guys think of it? I'll ask you first.
Of the story overall, or of the cult?
The story overall. We'll get the story out of the way, and then we'll tell everyone how that relates to current events.
Okay. The story was very, very good for the length it is, which is a common theme among most of the evolution stories. They always deliver a very good narrative in a short amount of time, which is what this one was able to do. So it goes from the humans' perspectives to the brutes' perspectives, back and forth.
Yeah, I like that it switches back and forth, but just keeps moving the story forward all the time.
Yeah, the only confusing thing is the humans' name for the brutes are different. So you gotta remember
yes.
2 names for everyone.
They've nicknamed them all.
Yeah, 6.
But I like that kind of touch, that you're... Yeah, I suppose if you're trapped, like kind of like a wildlife documentary, you're going to name the gorillas.
Yeah.
And then hope that the gorilla doesn't eat you.
Hope the gorilla doesn't pick you next.
Yeah, so like the thing for me reading this the first time that really gets to me is just how utterly terrifying they make the brutes seem in this.
They really do show up
when you're
how
not a
powerless
Spartan.
humans are. Yeah, they really do show like just
Yeah.
how powerless they are in this situation.
I said like when they're just describing sitting in basically a holding pen among body parts of other humans, watching them barbecue some on the fire.
Just
And
waiting
then
to be
eat
eaten.
them.
Yeah.
Yep, and just your only sort of release is when they let you go through the woods so they can chase you down and hunt you.
What I also thought was like mad as well. I'm sure they referenced at one stage that like the Ungagi, that the grunts, they eat them first, and then got tired
Yes.
of them, and then decided to eat the humans.
Yeah.
They kind of eat everything basically.
Yeah.
Which is slightly terrifying to think that you'd be on the ship and they'd eat you too.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, that must be like mad to think about if you're in that kind of scenario. You just can't trust brutes because they might eat you
Yeah.
eventually if things go bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's always kind of the hint, isn't it? Like the elites never trust them at all. They know
No.
at any moment the brutes might sort of snap and take everyone out.
That's
Yeah.
kind of how brutes always are. They're always just on the verge of going batshit.
Yeah, but until this, you never really get a hint that batshit could mean take out everyone around you. It's normally, they rampage and they kill whoever the enemy is. But in this, there's kind of no enemy.
Yeah, in reality,
humans
they
aren't
would
any
just run
threat.
around and kill everyone.
Yeah.
So the clans, there are different clans that have been merged together, and
Yeah, I
it's
was
a
just
very
gonna say that.
tentative
Yeah, because that's the thing
relationship.
they go into some insight when we're in the brute perspective about the history of the brutes, and they discuss the civil war that crippled the brutes before the Covenant ever found them.
Yeah, it's pretty much
So
like the
with-
Krogan in like Mass Effect, where they were like
Yeah.
an advanced race that like nuked themselves back. It's a series of kind of technological advances, so they were like
I f-
happy to get back into space and back to have
Yeah, I find it fascinating that they managed to hold themselves together long enough to be a spacefaring race, only to lose it and go backwards again.
Yeah.
it's a bit really weird.
And that kind of, it gives you that insight into then, a lot of them are kind of begrudging allies, but they're holding grudges from sort of family history.
Clan history.
Yeah, they're very
more
tribal,
like.
very clannish. Yeah, and
Yeah,
they
it's kind of, it's like the elites, because they're very sort of territorial and have clan
they're not as
histories and
brutal
family
about
histories,
it.
but the elites just have control of everything. They're very, what's the word I'm thinking of? Disciplined.
Yeah.
Discipline sounds about right.
yeah,
Whereas the brutes are just
Brutes.
apeshit.
brutes. Yeah, very aptly named.
Yeah. So, and then we start the story off from Breen's point of view when he's been captured and he's been thrown in with them, and he goes into a little history about himself. That he's sort of essentially fascinated by the brutes.
He's like a xenologist or something like that. Like the Captain Penn is this kind of adventure hunter kind of guy.
He led an Oni expedition into Covenant space. They captured some brutes and tranked them, but they escaped and essentially, as far as I could tell from the story,
killed everybody.
Wiped out everyone in the ship bar himself.
Well, yeah, himself. And I think he said some Marines got to the pods or whatever, escape pods.
And rather than terrify him, it fascinated him, and he had to find out more about them, because it goes on to mention that he spent years petitioning Oni to go out again and try and find their home planet, and it wasn't until the brutes became a relevant part of the Covenant army that Oni agreed to do it.
Which is so weird. I mean, it talks about how he studies different cultures and stuff like that, and like learns their language and learns how they work.
I like the part where they mention his claim to fame was discovering a tribe in
Earth.
Was it the Arctic north of sort of northern continent of America that originated from a cult in the 1970s?
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
I find it sort of funny to think
Scientology.
that, do they live in caves?
I think they do.
Eventually.
They're getting there.
Yeah,
well, I suppose we have a few centuries to go.
Exactly.
But basically he gets landed into the middle of this, and then he has to try and find a way out before he becomes barbecue. And while he's there, he discovers the person that makes this story relevant to today's topic, Das Gavadim.
Who was supposed to be enlightened.
Yes, he set up a religion, a fake religion called the Triad. They have this belief that you have 3 lives, and you unite them, and then you shall transcend. And then he faked his own death to transcend.
Yeah, he just kind of went quiet. Isn't that what he did? And he just like
he just kind of disappeared.
I know we're kind of skipping ahead, but I get the sense by the end of it that he was a believer in his own shit. Maybe it isn't shit, but like it kind of says in the way, like, obviously, spoilers, we're cutting ahead where he pretty much. Do you want to skip ahead to the end?
Well, we can discuss it. The basic gist of how the story goes, because it is quite short. We can run through it.
Yeah.
Breen discovers that Six and I'm going to go with their brute names. Six and Big Boy, Parabum, who's the chieftain, and the
shitty chieftain.
Ceridus, I think, is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, Ceridus.
That'll do.
He's basically the other rival for chieftain. Breen discovers there's this rivalry and plays them off each other essentially to escape. He notices they're about to fight. He tranks the 2 alpha males, and then the rest of the brutes, without any leader, just descend into chaos and slaughter each other. So they take that moment and they run, but the only 2 people that escape are Breen and Dask, because essentially everyone else there is slaughtered because they're emaciated.
Yeah,
they've been there that long, trapped in these.
Well, I mean, one of
them
actually started fighting the brutes.
True, yeah, they did mention that.
She lived,
but
for
that's
like
basically
seconds.
it. They escape and they go towards they move towards Breen's camp and the rendezvous point where Oni are coming back to pick him up. And just when Breen thinks it's all good, Dask shoots him in the back of the head, because he doesn't want to go back to civilized space, because then rumours of his return will appear and people will know that he didn't transcend and it was all a fake. So he chooses to stay. The story basically ends with him going back to the brute camp a few days later, lying down in the mud and crying himself to sleep.
Yeah.
Believing it's for the good of his religion.
Yeah, it kind of has him believing in himself. And
kind of a little, yeah. It basically finishes with the line, he thinks he utters the word transcendence, but he's not quite sure, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because it's only him.
Which is kind of
weird.
weird.
So now
the
he's
whole
just
planet.
left to die on a planet all by himself.
Well, I suppose we don't really know. That's the thing. It never,
Well, I would say, argue off the back of what we're going to talk about after this, about the whole Triad Twitter, that if that is coming to such prominence that perhaps he isn't dead.
I'm kind of wondering that. Well, basically, that's where it takes us to the modern day, and that's why this is this month's book club. Is that recently on Twitter, an account surfaced. It's at R3 Lives, or the Triad, which it went kind of unnoticed for a week or two, and then they started to pass a few tweets out to some well-known different communities, Podtacular, a few other people, and they've been kind of enlightenedly cryptic with their tweets.
They're really interesting to read. It's like...
Well, here's the last tweet. We'll just read it out for you all now. We must make ready for what is to come, what was always to come. The Triad is the path forward. Other such thrilling numbers as we must all shine now more than ever. The signs of transcendence are everywhere. They are seen, they are felt, they are true. So they started to tweet a lot of this stuff, and then worryingly the community has started to follow them.
And roleplay them back.
And started to tweet back.
Yeah.
So this kind of takes us into... I said that there isn't a huge amount of information on the Triad out there.
No, but this is like
they're literally
just one of the reasons why I like Halo. And when Chris pointed this thing out to me, I looked at it. I read out the first couple of tweets. They only had a handful at this time. They'd only been around a day or two, and I was like, I didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. So I had to go back, read the book, and I was like, the Triad. And I was like, this is such an obscure reference.
Yeah, it's such a throwaway part. Like, it's not even relevant to the story it's mentioned in.
No.
It's just a little background information.
It's something you just automatically forget once you finish the story.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of love what they're doing at the minute. They're taking all the old Halo stuff and tying it back.
And tying it in together, yeah. And now,
awesomely.
They were tweeting out the videos, these 3-second clips that were showing like
this
the disaster.
This is, I suppose, what takes us on to the next thing. They started to share out what it's basically it looks like it's only acquired CCTV footage of
disasters.
Meridian.
Yeah, whatever disasters going on in Meridian.
Similar
which
to
is, if anyone's not familiar,
it's
in
the
Hunt the
Truth. It's rare. Well,
it's on the Hunt the Truth Tumblr, but
right.
it's part of the event in the 30-second trailer that went up on Sunday for the football.
Well, we're assuming anyway that it's all linked together.
Judging by the videos, it looks fairly certain that this is people on the ground during the Guardian attack or Rising or whatever's happening.
Yeah, but they mentioned before, there's a few of these attacks on a few different planets, so at different times.
They've
so
covered at the start of the Osiris video.
Yeah. As well as, I think they mentioned it as well in Hunt the Truth, that it's the one site where they send Maya to is the one they don't have in control.
Yes.
So you imagine that this probably is Meridian. This is why they're looking for this footage that they wanted. Like, this is what they need.
And they're all very short, quick, jumpy, shaky clips. Lots of dust, people running and screaming, explosions.
Kind of hard to understand what's going on in some of them.
Yeah, one clip is just 3 seconds of Chief running against the flow of panicked people up a street. I mean, that's all you see.
When the first ones came out, I was trying to tie this in. I was like, what does this have to do with transcendence? Is this like a religious cult thing going to start happening? We're going to start seeing... But I had no clue. But obviously this is kind of more tying into the Hunt the Truth and what's happening in the story at the moment.
Well, you see, I don't
know how the Triad fits into that.
I've been kind of thinking about it. I wonder, have the Triad got wind of the Guardians, and do they kind of, like the Covenant thought, the Forerunner...
Well, Aaron, I'm really glad you say that, because I think many people may have forgotten this, but I was replaying Halo 4 with my brother at the weekend, and in the cutscene with the librarian, when she meets Chief for the first time, she mentions their transcendence. She actually says the word transcendence with regards to Forerunners and what they did. Yeah. So I'm imagining that that's exactly what's happening, Aaron, that obviously maybe translations or words are like mispronounced, but maybe the Triad begin to like worship the Forerunners in the same way maybe the Covenant originally did, and maybe think of what happened to the Forerunners was their transcendence, and that they want to do something
This is
similar.
kind of what I'm wondering too. This, like I said, there really isn't much to go on, so it's kind of an awesome topic to sort of spitball on and speculate.
But I think it's definitely to think that this is going to tie into Forerunners somehow, because that can't be an accident. that she uses that word once in the game.
I'm wondering, do they think that the Guardians are how they're going to transcend?
Perhaps.
The people on Meridian weren't squashed and died. They
transcended.
Yeah.
Kind of, like I said at the start.
Could they think of the
vaguely...
composer? What happened with the composer to be transcendence as well?
Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. Because that
could be why...
It's a different form of life. Do you know what I mean? Are those people dead?
Well,
are they
I suppose
composed?
the people on Earth don't know that they disappear. All the people on Earth know is that everyone in New Phoenix vanished. I can't imagine the ordinary people know that they went to make knights.
No, but everyone in New Phoenix vanished. Which could have been like a rapture or something like that.
Yeah.
You can see how all this could tie together really nicely into here's a religious cult that were kind of, had a little traction before but nothing big, and suddenly all the people of a city disappear in one night.
I mean, that makes sense for the New Phoenix one, but I think for the ones we're seeing now, there's actual physical destruction. So it's not just a case of people disappearing. Oh, they transcended. It was these
but
people
they obviously have
killed.
had this belief before the Guardians started killing everyone.
Yeah, because what's his name? Dask Gavin came up with it, and maybe he came up with it. It kind of makes it sound maybe he was a phony at the time. I mean, it actually it does say he doesn't want to go back because he'll be proven. To return to the public eye would prove him a phony, and the hearts and minds of millions will be broken. So he himself probably believes he's a phony, and that's why he can't go back.
But the religion has taken on its own sort of life now.
Yeah, I think the religion probably started with the basics that he came up with, and now have evolved to kind of explain the world through the Forerunner technology.
Yeah, perhaps. Especially because you imagine only aren't telling people a whole lot. So the average human probably doesn't know anywhere near the amount that we know as gamers, because we have access to so much of the information.
Yeah, and I find it really intriguing that 343 have decided to bring the Triad, to the front now. Such a small little thing makes me wonder what. Because this is the thing that they keep tweeting that they have plans.
Well, they must be bigger than what we think they are. I mean, to be in just one little book that was written several years ago, plus that one word Transcendence in Halo 4 is pretty much all we got to go on. So maybe. Well,
I said
maybe they do.
At this stage, I'm kind of a crazy person. I think nothing is an accident. Everything is on purpose.
Yeah, I mean they gotta keep track of everything somehow. I mean, I imagine maybe they are some kind of maybe a terrorist organization. Maybe they start becoming violent. Maybe they have demonstrations and whatnot.
I don't know. It's let's like that last tweet. At the time of recording this, that's 42 minutes ago. We must make ready for what is to come. What was always to come. The Triad is the path forward.
Very cryptic.
Super creepy. But if it's taking place right now when the Guardians are attacking, you can't help but put two and two together and assume that the Guardians are what is to come.
I mean, is there
like
a
you
date
said,
on
makes
the
you
story?
wonder.
I didn't see one.
Yep, there is. The date on that story is... You hold with me now, because I put it in the script, David.
Nice didn't. One. No, I didn't scroll up. My internet's all over the place. Sorry, hold on.
Boo.
No.
It's 2552. There isn't an exact date, but it's the Fall of Reach. When is the Fall of Reach?
2552.
2552.
Thank you, Krysta.
So it takes place in 25. Obviously, because it's when the Covenant break up. I know the
events of the first three games happen around October, November. So I mean, it's around there that the Reach fell.
Fair enough. So then it's Reach fell. Then they went on the run. So we're saying this religion probably really kicked off after he disappeared and never came back, transcended, and then now perhaps 8 years. Was it 2558? So
didn't they
6
say
years
in
later,
the book that he'd been gone for a while though?
He had been gone a few years, and that's how the religion had kind of
kicked off
built up
he
a little.
Transcended. But you imagine maybe 6 years later, it's still ramping up. Maybe it took hold in certain places.
I could picture something like the composing of New Phoenix giving your crazy cult about transcendence a real kick of life.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure they rallied to that if that's the way they went. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, like total destructionless, just disappeared people, a whole city. I'd love to know what the official what Oni put out for that. What they said happened. Because obviously a big fucking massive ship attacked Earth. People had to be aware of that.
Don't call me on this, but did somewhere in Spartan Ops, do they not mention that it was referred to as a Covenant attack?
Oh, they said something about Covenant refugees. I remember
that's at the start when they're being macho on the Pelican, but I'm fairly sure at some point it might have been Halsey says something like, do you expect us to believe it was,
I'd have to watch those videos again. I've only seen them the once. The Spartan Ops trailers.
I'm fairly sure somewhere in Halo 4, probably in the Spartan Ops cutscenes, they said that, they blamed it on the Covenant.
Oh, interesting.
Rather than disclosing that it was a new enemy.
Alright, okay. Well, then you'd imagine... Jesus, I don't know.
It's really hard to distinguish what actually happens from what Oni says because it's so different.
Yeah, and that's it. There just really is so little to go on. That's it. There is literally that Twitter account, this story, and that is it.
But then it'll turn around and that Twitter account will be only propaganda. It was all fake. We're like, for fuck's sake. You fool us again.
I think this is real. I think whatever's coming out here is... I say all this stuff's being compiled on the...
Aaron, but you thought Pharaoh
Tumblr
was
page.
Real.
So... I think it's all relevant, it's only pulling stuff together, but I think these guys are going to turn out to be the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as real as your cult can be.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know the status of religion at all, humanity-wise.
No,
well, they kind of hint at it in bits and pieces. In Nightfall, the folks there believe in Valhalla, so obviously the Norse religion's back in fashion.
Yeah.
Because
you have ancient Greeks obviously
Randall mentions that.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of the AIs take on a lot of Greek gods and Greek and Roman gods, and there's obviously the Spartan program Orion, and there's a lot of ancient history. There's at
least a respect for the old religions.
Yeah, I imagine I mean, maybe this is their attempts to bring it in, but I something strikes me just about this triad that it's not mainstream at all. I get the whole thing that you're right, the whole cult vibe. There's just something a little bit sinister about it. Like, it's like too clean. Do you know what I mean? And maybe this is maybe Scientology is kind of a reference to this, where it's just something about it.
You don't say their name out loud.
Something about it just is like, no, you're not real. Something's going on. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, I do get the whole creepy vibe. The way you said it. Like, it's right.
I kind of get the feeling that they believe it. It might have been started up as a fake, but I get the feeling that the people in it,
absolutely, that's kind of how it happens.
Kind of exactly like the Covenant, a religion founded on shaky ground and a lie, but the people following it, or the people that underneath,
will believe,
completely believe it. It's only the people at the top that know the truth.
Yeah.
And I suppose, because of the way the book ends, we have no way to know that Dask is alive or not. We just know where he left off. But I'd imagine that sometime after the battle and the fall of Reach, someone else had to go back to that planet if it was a wealthy retreat.
Well, perhaps, but are people in the Halo universe in 2558 going on expensive holidays to other planets? I wouldn't say so.
Well, this is basically what this is. This is, a private sort of playground for the uber wealthy, it sounds like,
But how many of those would be left? I don't know what kind of... The universe that it strikes me, just as it stands right now, is not a happy place. I mean,
but there are still wealthy people, and there's still money.
There has to be, yeah. But I mean,
it's not a utopia like Star Trek where they got away with cash.
Yeah.
We all know Krysta hasn't. Krysta's one of those people. Actually, she has reach credit.
Actually, I've been there. I mean, he's actually still there.
Krysta, did they glass all your money when they glassed the planet?
Oh, no. Credits are digital.
Oh, that's
did you save them on a memory stick?
Yeah, on your stick.
No, but credits are a digital currency.
So are they in the space cloud?
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually in Halo, I think that you never see physical credits anywhere. I would think that it's all digital now, like credit cards.
Yeah, the most they mention it as, you do see physical credits. You see them in ODST. The phone terminals spit them out.
Yeah, there's ATMs.
Well, are they just coins or
They're a thing.
They're a thing.
One
Just
way or the
physical
other, they're
money,
a currency
yeah.
of some sort.
I'm sure there needs to be a physical currency when you're dealing with the.
Sadie mentions it that she needs something to make. She needs credits to make a call
Yeah, that
during
is
the
true.
audio logs.
But I would have thought that there would definitely be some kind of physical currency based on the fact that there's trade going on between humans and non-humans. They're going to need a
only
currency.
thing makes me wonder about this being a planet of, you know, an outdoors getaway full of human entrepreneurs is the Cole Protocol had to have was enacted at this stage, so civilian spaceflight was prohibited.
That is true.
Because there's one or two other
But are you assuming that that's
trivia.
relaxed? I mean, you've seen the Cole
But this is the
Protocol,
fall of Reach. This is at the height of, you know, they sent Blue Team to an orbital station to get a Prowler, you know.
But I mean, this was during the fall of Reach.
But that's it. This was at the stage when the Cold Protocol was at its highest, you know, they risked 3 Spartans to take out one ship in orbit.
Well, this was actually the time where the only planets that were being attacked were the far-off outer colonies. Wasn't Reach the first inner colony planet they destroyed? Or
No,
at
Reach
least one
was-
of them?
Reach was the last, I thought. Wasn't
Reach
it?
was
the
the last
last?
before they hit Earth, you know, it was... But that's it, there's a couple of little things about this story. I put it in the trivia that in the middle of this, Breen mentions that he went to High Charity, but this is before humanity ever went to High Charity, so I kind of wonder, are those just little inconsistencies in...
What? No way.
Yep, there's
Yeah,
one
he
mention in the
mentioned something
timeline
about
where he
High
mentions
Charity.
observing the brutes on High Charity, but
That's
you know,
crazy. How do you manage that?
no human set foot on High Charity until the
Unless he saw footage, but I don't know. How
which
would they
he
have gotten that?
couldn't have seen footage before then. I say the in Amber Clad was the first ship.
Did we even know
to
High
see High
Charity
Charity?
existed?
No, the first time it was seen was in Halo 2.
That's weird. Yeah.
So because of the first Halo, we didn't have High Charity. We didn't have any mention of brutes or anything else, or you know. And after first Halo, we still didn't know about High Charity. We had what was the station they took out in First Strike?
Unyielding
the-
Halo Front.
The Unyielding Hierophant or something. So there's little inconsistencies like that, because the other little inconsistency is in the Meridian trailer, the one with I suppose not really a spoiler. You probably have seen it by now. The one where Master Chief said to have died.
Yeah.
It's either an oversight or deliberate, but the date's 2 years out from the events of Halo 5.
Yeah, we can't be sure
It's
yet.
mentioned that, we don't know yet, so they say in the trailer that it's 2560, but it's 2558
Yeah.
at the time of Halo 5 and the Guardians, so, you know, it could be an accidental oversight, or, like I said, when I look at everything here, it could be on purpose. If I had a wall big enough, I would just have red string everywhere at the minute, trying
Yeah.
to join all these dots.
Basically.
But we just thought, you know, this is something I didn't really know about until Chris brought the Twitter account to my attention like a week ago. By the way, shout outs to Chris, he couldn't make it tonight.
Oh.
He really was looking forward to coming in and enlightening us all on the
we
triad.
miss you, Chris.
We do.
We love you, Chris.
We'll get you on again. But until
May your
until he
light
mentioned
shine
this,
bright.
like you guys said, he mentioned the triad to me, and I sort of sat stupidly staring at the computer screen, going, "What the hell is a triad?"
Yeah,
I
I
know,
had to
me
go and read the book
Like,
again.
Then I was trying to think, like, is that the Japanese mafia? No, that's not the triad.
They have a Twitter account, and it's just like shine bright.
I wasn't sure at all. But it's just something, it seemed super relevant for the minute and for everything that's going on, that
It's definitely
cover it now.
It's definitely very prevalent and very different from the other stuff that 343 usually does to promote stuff. So
I just love that it ties into Hut the Truth, and I hope we get something more of it out of that. Answers to what the Triad is, or their influence, their strength. I mean, what they actually are, how they exist in the universe. Because I think all we're going to get from this Twitter is just Twitter tweets like that. I don't know
Yeah,
if we get
I don't
any
know. I think
information from them.
they're building up to something. I think something's going to come out. I think it'll probably. I wonder will it tie into Hunt the Truth?
I hope
What if
so.
they did
I
a
wanted
video
to.
of like their leader addressing the public and be like, "Oh, we are all going to ascend," kind of like what the prophets did when they were in the covenant?
I could see them being the people on the ground that have control of the Fifth Guardian site.
You think that they're part of the new government alliance or the new government?
I could see them being the driving force behind it if you had people there that were believers in the triad and you took control of this site because you believed the Guardian was the key to your transcendence, you know.
Well, that's what I hope to see. I hope to see it come into Hunt the Truth, and that we see.
Yeah, I think
Pharaoh
it's
uncover
definitely
this.
building up to it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the sidelines, but it feels... Well, like with everything they've done lately, it feels like something big's coming.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
So that's
Big
kind
things
of
in the
it, you know.
works.
Yeah.
Yes, there's lots of big things, and it's great time to be into Halo. It really is.
When a little short story like this can just matter so much leading up to like a major game release, it's pretty fucking
Well,
cool.
you just have to look at it. Like, even when this show started last year, like the difference in the amount of lore and the amount of current stuff we have to talk about in just a year is unreal.
Yeah.
It is kind of mad because I'm sure we thought at one stage we might run out or like what we talk about.
Yeah, I thought that a couple of times, and then, you know, now to sort of let you in behind the scenes here when we're doing the script, you're kind of going, right, what the hell can we cut to fit the news in, because the news is 35 minutes long.
Yeah, we're getting so much news, and it's crazy. But there's so much lore. Like, I mean, even the news, this trailer was released, but like, where does this trailer connect? Where does it come from? Where does it lead to? I mean, like,
Yes,
what's happening in the background?
It's not, you know, it's not the Halo 3 diorama anymore that whilst it was really cool, there's not much lore in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 30-second advert of Oni pronouncing Chief dead, and you kind of wonder, what's all this tie into?
Yeah.
By the way, did anyone else notice in that trailer that the guy with the robotic arm, was that Petrovsky?
I didn't notice that at all.
There's a
he
guy
seemed very
looks kind of soldiery
He's
on a bed adjusting his robotic arm, and I wondered, was that Anthony?
Oh, I remember that. He looked far too young or far too old. Like,
but they
far too
highlighted
old.
him like he was important somehow.
They did,
He
yeah.
didn't look overly old. He kind of looked like he could be 40 or 50-ish.
Oh, I put his age way above that. I have to watch it again. I've only seen it the once.
But, like, even if that is a little nod to it, like, it's awesome that, you know, 2 seconds of a clip and it's there.
Yeah.
Well, we hope we've enlightened you a little bit, because I know I'm still super confused about lots of it, but...
Enlighten.
Keep
choice of word.
your eye on the Transcendent Twitter. Join us.
Yes, our 3 lives, and have a look and see what they're at and see what they're tweeting, because I'm assuming there's going to be a few more CCTV videos to come, and they do seem to be ramping up in their hints that something big's coming, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers for
If they still go,
another...
yeah, if they go along as same as Hunt the Truth, as they're
Maybe-
dropping stuff and Hunt the Truth is dropping stuff and it all feeds into each other. That's awesome.
Yeah, or possibly even a trailer, like, will we, you know... Is this the build-up to another trailer next week? Maybe a counterpoint to Master Chief? Dying on Meridian? You know, it seems like something could be coming.
Yeah.
Master Chief transcends.
I mean,
Yes.
how many more big announcements do they have before Halo 5? Jeez.
We don't want to ask that, really. It's going to get terrifying.
Here's the chart.
Just give me the game. Just give
Yeah.
me the game. Oh.
Only 5
David,
weeks.
you're banned.
I will be 6 weeks.
Why 6 weeks?
Oh, yes, you.
Because I won't get it
leaving
for a
us.
week until after launch, and I'm
I'm gonna spoil it.
You're not gonna spoil it because I'm gonna turn my phone off for a whole week.
Ah. We'll leave you a really long voicemail.
Gee,
We
thanks.
love you, David.
About 25 minutes telling you the whole story.
Krista will be playing Destiny anyway. She won't play Halo.
What do you mean? Of course I'm
Krysta
gonna
will not play Destiny. She will go back to Halo and do as she's told.
It's okay because
Yes,
Krista hasn't been
master.
playing Destiny for the whole time of this Halo podcast.
Of
That
course I
never
have
happens.
not. I don't know what you're talking.
Just like she ate like Destiny Pop-Tarts for the whole of the last episode. But that's fine. And then one before that she had like Destiny milkshakes, but whatever.
Why is it Destiny milkshakes? I don't understand.
Because you don't love me like you love Destiny anymore, Krista. So it's always destiny to me.
Oh, it's okay,
That's
David.
famous.
Once Halo comes out, I'll love you like I love Halo again.
Oh, right. Let's wrap this love fest up before it gets any more terrifying here. It's getting weird enough as it is.
Do it.
Right. Well, let's see. We hope, well, like we said, we've enlightened you a little bit. There will be another book club for next month that I think we've already said it's Last Light.
Yes.
Yes, it is Last Light.
Yep.
It is a full novel,
I'm
so
kind
get
of
reading.
hoping we can get it out before Halo 5. We'll see how busy we are, but
I won't be there for that one, so you're going to do that yourselves. If that's what you got to do, do it.
excellent.
Make it
But
happen.
I want to see if we can get it out before Halo 5 so that if you've read the book, you can have a few thoughts and something to listen to before.
We'll get talking
While
to
you're
Drew
waiting,
right now.
while you're waiting in line for your copy of Halo 5 at midnight release.
Yes, you can listen to the book club. And you'll have a great time.
And get
you'll love it.
hyped for Halo 5. Woo!
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Right. So, you can, I suppose if you're already listening to this, you know the crack now, but you can join us, follow us. Let's try that again. You can join the Facebook group, search for Podcast Evolved. We should show up at this stage. We're big enough now.
Yeah, we are.
You don't have to type the full URL in anymore. But definitely join people there. There's lots of awesome stuff and conversations on at the minute, and everything is buzzing because there's just so much stuff going on.
Yep, there's a lot of different threads going on. So.
Yep. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Podcast Evolved. You'll get myself on Twitter. You'll notice when you follow me, I don't use it a lot, but I'm trying. I really am. And I'm at Perpetual Big SC, and that's my gamer tag as well. David, you are?
I'm Canine Cerberus, which is all one word, 2 capital C's.
Excellent. And Krysta?
I am capital KONAN, capital X, capital D, and my Twitter is the same thing, but an underscore at the end.
Boo underscore.
I know. Someone took my name.
Jerks. We'll find
Right.
them. We'll get them, Chris. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
We'll kill them.
Well, like I said, guys, look forward to the book club again next month, and we'll see you next weekend for another show. And until then, remember that by spreading the word, you shine so brightly. Let the world know that Dusk of Adam has shown us all the way. Transcendence is near.
Shine.
Wahahahaha.
Let your light shine.
Evolved.
Evolved.
Evolve.